All right, guys, we're here. We're here with Mr. Coach Hawn. We just got done with our NFL draft for the Green Bay Packers. Unfortunately, Coach Hawn, who is our offensive line specialist, is going to kind of run through a couple of these prospects that we got and just tell us a little bit about what he sees, what he saw, and what he likes and what he doesn't like. And so, since zero people are here to listen to me talk, we're just going to get started right now. We're going to start with Sean Ryan. He was the guy out of UCLA that we drafted, and a lot of optimism about him. But, Coach, what did you see from Mr. Sean Ryan that you liked, didn't like, etc.?
Yeah. So initially, JJ Leahy, he sent me him as a prospect, obviously pre-draft. I was able to take a look at a little bit of what Sean Ryan was doing out in UCLA under Chip Kelly, under Justin Fry. We know Justin Fry then went on to Ohio State, but had a lot of good stuff, a lot of good teaching under Justin Fry. So my initial thoughts on Sean Ryan were, the cool things were he was always first to contact in the run, aggressive like that in the run game. Wanted to be first to contact, first and second steps in, usually before the defense was. Huge advantage on the offensive line when you get to do that. He's a bender. He's a big dude, 6'5", 321. That's no joke, right? Usually when guys get like that, especially Sean Ryan, who to me kind of has a little bit longer legs, maybe a little bit shorter torso than you normally see in 6'5", but he's a bender, which is really good. He sinks his hips. He doesn't bend at the hips. He sinks down. He uses his knees a lot. So that's a huge thing for athleticism, especially in a zone run scheme. He's got really good aim with his hands, likes a little bit of an independent punch, right? Likes to get those hands out and pass pro. And that's all good stuff. That's what you want to see. A couple of my concerns pre-draft, he does jump to his set a little bit, not super smooth in the push out, especially with a wider technique. A 7 or even some of these ghost 9s or wide 9s you hear it called in the NFL. He'll kind of jump to his set almost like he doesn't quite trust his speed. So if he gets contact mid-jump, that rep is over and the defense is going to win that. So you want to get that cleaned up. And then he does tend to lean on some of that reaction stuff. So as he's got to redirect, he will lean a little bit more top heavy, which does tend to lead to holds. So then after the Packers had drafted him, getting ready to do some of this type of stuff, went back through and took a look at a lot more tape, which I'll be showing you here in a second, but really boiling it down into Chip Kelly's offense and then Justin Fry's teachings. This cat can do a lot. This is a pretty good pickup. I don't know. He's not going to be a left tackle. He's not the answer there, but he could be a plug-in type of right tackle. I see him moving inside. I see all the prospects that Green Bay picked up, to be honest with you, probably moving inside, unless you really need some help out there. But Sean Ryan, to me, pretty darn good pickup. If you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen here. I'll try not to be super clunky through this. Sorry, I'm not always the greatest at technology. There's a reason I coach football and don't do IT support or anything like that. But there were some concerns initially about Sean Ryan. Can he play both sides? It's a tough thing for an offensive lineman to do. Put your hand in the dirt one way, then go the other way. Or if you're a 2-point stance, having your left foot back versus your right foot, it is pretty tough being ambidextrous like that. But check this out. Here's some fun clips. I saw them do this multiple times against LSU, where Sean Ryan, the left tackle, is supposed to be here. This is what we call an unbalanced set. Dude's over here on the right side. You got a 3-man offensive line surface. This is what we call unbalanced. I don't absolutely love the rep from Sean Ryan here. He's supposed to be over here at left tackle, so he's not flawless in this rep, but he does get out pretty decently. You can see the steps are good. He's got a decent close. He does overrun that angle on that linebacker. You want to see him get to the second level and be just a little bit more patient here as he climbs up to backer, so he doesn't have to stop his feet and get that play side inside to shoot underneath him. But overall, that's a pretty tough thing to do for an offensive lineman. If you're going to go ahead and start on the usually, get used to the left side, go ahead and kick over to the right side a couple of plays in a game. It's a tough thing to get used to. So it kind of shows some of that athleticism, right? Some of that, it's almost like he's ambidextrous. It'd be like a wide receiver going up and making a one-handed catch with the right hand and then doing the same with the left. That's what you really like to see. He's pretty fluid in that stuff. I also found another clip here. I'm going to try to share this one. Excuse me. This is kind of what we're expecting out of he's over here, out of an NFL caliber type player. Watch, This dude can redirect. I sent this to you guys a couple of times. Watch him get out. He is looking to stack up this essentially six tech, this head up six tech on the tight end. He's looking to stack him up. When he sees the tight end has him covered head to head, watch his redirect right here to pick up the flow backer, and then watch his effort all the way through the end of the play. I love this play. Shows his athleticism getting out, then redirects here, pops that backer, then continues on and pushes the pile. That's what you like to see. And that's some of that nasty, that's some of the effort that I've been seeing him bring a little bit. You know, he is he's not Trevor Penning, but he's got a little bit of that nasty. He's got a little bit of go get it. And then one of my concerns, again, I guess pre-draft, was that he does allow that pocket to get dented. And I'll show you what I mean by a pocket being dented here in just a little bit. But we're going to watch the drive of him here. This is a short yardage situation for UCLA, again, against LSU. So it's a quality opponent, right? LSU is going to have a ton of dudes drafted for the next couple of years off of that defense. So we're going to watch him absolutely road grade. Now, this is called a down block. It is the easiest block in football. But watch this big boy just get out and road grade. My apologies. It's going to load a little slow here. But he's going to go ahead and get out and just road grade this three tech and barrel in that hole and allow that short yardage situation to be successful for UCLA. And that's exactly some of the stuff that we're really looking for in a phone booth type of guy. UCLA used to love to put him out in some of that man slide protection, let him be all alone at a left tackle, which is great, but I don't see Green Bay doing that. I see them kind of tucking him in, using his acceleration and his size off of the ball and some of that nastiness that we just saw, letting him use some of that and not having him get way out against some of these elite edge rushers, right? To where he can't have that pocket be dented. Maybe starting off, I would think probably starting off right guard. He could be a pinch right tackle and then just do some slide protection to kind of help him out. But overall, I think Sean Ryan was a quality pickup. A lot of the knocks on him, you know, the short arms and all that, we'll address a little bit later. But I thought overall, you know, I might have been, I certainly was wrong on him with a deeper film dive. This is a good fit for him. An athletic dude who likes to get out and run. Got to slow him down second level, right? Got to watch him getting that pocket dented if he does have to move out to right tackle. But quality pickup. I like it.
So after Sean Ryan, we got what a lot of people called one of the bigger steals of the draft, Mr. Zak Tom. Not that I know very much about offensive line play, but I can tell you right now, this is one of my favorite picks in this class. Well, I'm not going to get into my analysis because, again, nobody cares. So I'm going to let you talk about Mr. Zak Tom out of Wake Forest, and let me know what you like.
Yeah. How about this? I'm throwing this back at you now, Ryan. I do want to hear a little bit about why you like him, because I know why I like him. So I want to hear yours first. So maybe I can copycat you.
So again, it's kind of like saying I like wide receiver because he runs fast, right? But Zak Tom, to me, is just so efficient. He's very fast when he moves. You know, I love Sean Ryan because he's a mauler. I like a guy that can just throw people around, but, you know, he doesn't seem to move quite the same way as Sean Ryan. And seeing him disengage from one guy and move immediately over to the next guy and to, you know, not just hit two guys at once, but to move over to the next guy and set properly and be able to block him properly is just, it's really stunning, the kind of stuff that I see him be able to do. It just seems kind of next level for me.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I think you nailed it, dude, by the way, you should give your analysis a little more credit. The thing that jumps off the page with me with Zak Tom is just his feet, just the raw athlete that he is for his size, right? It's pretty rad. Yeah. And I know a lot of that was taught at Wake Forest. You know, Nick Tabaka is one of the leaders in building the block from the ground up. Absolutely loves to run those feet and likes athletes there. So that's a really encouraging thing. Again, with Zak Tom, I don't think he's your answer at tackle. You know, two very similar dudes here, to be honest with you, in the pass pro game. And we'll take a look at some Zak Tom film in just a moment in the pass pro game. But to be honest with you, his run blocking is okay. You know, he leaves a lot to be desired in the finish and stuff like that. His pass pro is good. Athleticism wise, you want to see a lot more anchor. You want to see a lot more strength come through. But I think a lot of that could be just Wake Forest is playing him at left tackle out of necessity, right? We're going to take a look at the left guard stance here in just a moment and see kind of what he was playing up against. And you'll be able to see, like, yeah, this is why Wake had to have him at left tackle. I think his natural fit is more like a guard if we can get a little more of that nasty out. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen here again. We're going to take a look at some Wake Forest film that I was able to steal. Don't tell anyone I'm stealing this. We'll go ahead and make this a little bit bigger, and we're going to watch him here at left tackle, excuse me. And this left guard stance is a little strange to say the least. Hey, buddy, you do whatever's comfortable for you. But I think that's why we got big old number 50 out here playing left tackle. And we'll watch this pass pro rep again. My apologies, trying to let it load. I'm on some little bit slower internet than I'm used to here at home, as opposed to some of the other places I watch film. But we're going to watch this rep from Zak Tom, and you'll see initially, look at the way he covers ground. Like, that's really good. They've got a full man slide protection going here where the guard's going to take this 3-tech. He's going to have to kick way out here, and he had to get through traffic to do it. Had to get around his tight end who is max proing. You've got the running back that's going to fill this in should any defender go. But now watch the way that pocket gets dented. This is what we're talking about, denting the pocket. See where his arms are right now and his hips in relation to his shoulders? He's absorbing this block. This is called catching the block. We don't want to see that. We want to see 2 feet in the ground at the moment of truth, what we call the moment of truth, that point of contact. We want to see those hips back, those shoulders back a little, those hips sunk, because that's that power position, right? So right now he's catching a block. And that is a very concerning thing, because not only are you going to get called for holds time and time again on that, but you're denting the pocket. We want to see this thing stonewalled right here. And we're going to watch Zak Tom and see what happens here as he gets that whole pocket driven in. Right? So athleticism-wise, he's covering a ton of ground. He's doing a great thing, and he's getting the necessary time for his quarterback. But again, this is Florida State, and don't get me wrong, Florida State's got some dudes, but you're going to be in the NFL, right? So you're going to have to figure out ways to make this a little more conducive against some of the best people in the world at that. So speaking of that speaking of that pocket getting dented, and then the athleticism from it, this is a great rep from him right here. It doesn't have to look like the prettiest thing in the world. It doesn't have to look like the most fluid, athletic offensive line thing you've ever seen. What we're looking for is covering up this big old 5-tech here and then mirroring him. And this is a great job of not getting the pocket dented, watching that long arm come through, setting those hips, and then allowing your quarterback to make a beautiful throw. That is a tough window to throw into, and a great play by the wide receiver. But now we're going to go on to the next play. And this next play is concerning to me because we're going to watch what's called a long stick from that defensive end. And we're going to watch Zak Tom's feet get over himself, and he's going to allow some pressure. So I'll let this sucker roll through to the end zone shot, and we'll get a good look at it here. Again, covering ground. We want to see those hips a little bit lower, but we can see right here, these are those independent hands we like. And then this is that slide protection. Okay, the whole offensive line is sliding right. Zach, you're on an island. And again, that's probably not going to happen in the pro game. They're not going to put him on an island too much. They'll give him help should he need it, being phone booth or out to right tackle. But now watch him just get manhandled here. You're going to watch a push off here. He's trying to set that anchor, but he's a little late in setting the anchor. So he's going to get shed, and then he's going to reach around and hold. And in the NFL, my guess is that's probably going to end up getting called. So dude's got some talent. He really does. He's got some crazy ability. We like watching his athleticism, but we're going to have to clean up a lot of the technique stuff, right? So Zak Tom's got some good stuff working for him. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to take a little bit of work. I don't see him as like hey, this is week 1. We're trotting Tom out there at right tackle. I could be wrong. He could make giant leaps. We don't really know. But I don't see it just yet. I think he's a good pickup, but I don't know if it's the one just yet.
I wanted to, I don't know if you heard it or not, but John Eric Sullivan, who is one of the top personnel guys out there, some of the reporters are kind of throwing comps at him, and he said, we actually see him more of a Billy Turner type. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, oh man, coach is going to love this guy.
Man, I know I take a lot of grief because well, first and foremost, y'all, I am an O-line apologist. I'll always come out and say O-line over everything, right? I think y'all know me a little bit So I'm that way. But I've always liked what Billy Turner can do, and the fact that he's been shuffled around that line and played all over and was tossed into the fire at right tackle, and I thought he did. For what they were asking him to do, I thought he did a pretty good job. I understand people got frustrated with him. So that sort of stuff, sure, that'll happen. I think Billy Turner is a pretty decent comp for this guy. I think Billy Turner was a pretty good athlete. I loved Billy Turner's feet, and I really like Zak Tom's feet. I enjoy it.
Well, I appreciate you not stuffing me in any lockers for my offensive line takes, but we'll move on to Mr. Rasheed Walker. I know you didn't put as much time with Rasheed Walker as far as queuing up any clips for us or whatever, but we did draft him. So any and all thoughts that you had on the guy, I'd love to just pick your brain for a minute if you had a few thoughts on him.
Absolutely, and I'd love to. I got some things queued up here for Rasheed in what I thought was one of his tougher games. And again, I'm not picking on the dude. I'm really not. But these should be kind of concerns and red flags. Before we roll right into that film, though, I do want to say, hey, Garrett Stritzel, Virtual Dad, and Nathan Plouts, I see your comments. I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We'll get to those as soon as we roll through that film. Is that good, Ryan?
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate you showing those comments because I didn't see this, but thank you very much to Virtual Dad for the $9.99 super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you much. Let's take a look at our buddy Rasheed Wallace, left tackle number 53 for Penn State. We'll take a look at him against Ohio State. And again, y'all, it's Ohio State, right? Like, we know they're top tier competition, but when you get drafted, you're going to see top tier competition week after week, right? So we want to see how you compete against the top tier, that upper class of competition. We're going to watch Ohio State here get into a 5-3-3-5 or just kind of our split three technique type of defense. And you're going to watch a pretty standard stunt. We're watching over here, number 53, Rasheed Walker, left tackle. Again, a dude who played tackle, but is probably going to bump inside for Green Bay. So we're going to be able to watch this little stunt develop. The 3-tech is going to attack the B gap. You're going to get a jab here from this 5-tech defensive end and then stunt around to the inside. They've got him in man slide protection, so the center is now to the field. He's got to hold his attention to the field here, to this backer. And Ohio State drew it up nicely. They know it's going to happen. But you got to see communication here. And you got to see Rasheed Walker realize this stunt quickly, pick up the 3-tech so he can bump his left guard over. And we'll just take a look at this, and we'll just watch what happens here, right? Rasheed Walker is going to see this stunt start to develop. It's a good, quick jab upfield here. But when he stops and redirects, because you overset, you open too soon, you're afraid of his speed on the edge, you don't quite trust your footwork here, you're on a skateboard. If you keep your shoulders square and trust your angles, you're able to overtake this and bump your guard off, right? That doesn't quite happen here. You're going to see a clean release all the way through. This is how you get quarterbacks killed. This isn't great stuff. You got to make sure that you can communicate that with your guard. You got to protect that B gap and push that guard over to the A gap. We're going to go right on then to the next play. Again, this is going to be a 4th and 4 situation for Penn State. They're thinking short yardage. Ohio State's going to go ahead and pack the box. We'll watch Tom up here. He is covered by a tight end. Rasheed Walker up here. He is covered by the tight end here, and he's just going to get bulldog back. It's a tough thing to do when you get a bull rush. It really is, especially if you're playing tackle. You got to worry about edge speed and all that sort of stuff. But the second that you start getting bull rushed, you got to drop your hips, reset your feet, and anchor. You can't get bulled back. This is a tough thing to do, but the elites can do it right here, especially if you're going to start playing inside. If you're going to play guard, now it does help if you're going to play guard. You don't have to worry about the edge as much because you're a little bit more in that phone booth or in that closed setting. But once you start getting bulled right here, you got to drop hips and set anchor and stop that bull rush. You can't continue to get driven back into the quarterback. As we take a look here, I'll try to rewind it just a little bit. We're going to see Walker go ahead and let his frame get individualized, we call it, or let the defender get his hands inside your frame, inside your shoulder pads. And that's going to allow you to be risen up. And if you're risen up, you can't drop. If you're standing straight up, you can't drop those hips. You got to keep those hands outside of your framework on the inside of your chest. You got to go ahead and just drop those hips and be able to redirect and stop that bull rush from happening. So a couple of concerns on Rasheed. But, we've had some concerns on pretty much everybody that you can take a look at. This is who Green Bay drafted. This is who Green Bay got. So they're going to work with him. I'm sure they're going to do a great job.
So now that we looked at those three guys, I am curious because you're also familiar with the current offensive line that we have. You've had a chance. I know you don't have strong allegiances to any NFL teams, but hanging around us enough, we ask you tons of questions about our offensive line. So I want to ask you about sort of the expectations for some of these guys, because obviously as Packer fans, my mind goes to, well, we got brand new starters. They're going to be there day one. They're going to be great offensive guards, et cetera, et cetera. But what would you say is a realistic expectation, especially for the first two guys maybe that we got, in terms of their role for this offense for 2022?
Yeah, I guess a ton of it depends on the health of the other two,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And you guys hate to hear it. I know you hate to hear it, but I mean, what can I say? Bakhtiari and Jenkins are absolutely your best stabs there. So if we're just going to take them kind of out of the picture now and go to maybe a Royce Newman or a John Runyon. I've always appreciated John Runyon. I really like what he does at guard. He anchors well. He may not be the fastest human being in the world, but man, he anchors well. He's got some power. I wouldn't be surprised to see him out there right away. And then from there, I think it's going to be this really cool competition of, who's going to, out of these three new dudes, and you still got Yash hanging around. You still got Royce Newman hanging around, I believe. I'm not super good with the current updates to the roster and stuff. But if you got all these cats hanging around in training camp, go ahead and just let them sharpen it. Iron sharpens iron. See who wins some of these open competitions at these spots, even if they are for a second string role, because we've seen Green Bay's propensity to mix it up week after week, right? So let some of these guys get out and compete against each other and see who's going to catch on the quickest, who's going to work technique the quickest. We were watching the draft together, especially that first round, and I got a lot of questions about what had happened with Linderbaum. Like, we saw Tyler Linderbaum hanging out there. I'm all excited, right? I'm thinking for not being a fan, you guys kind of trapped me into being really interested in Green Bay. I've done a lot of work with them, with previous coaches and stuff. So I'm all excited, hey, I'm going to get a chance. They're going to draft Linderbaum. I'm going to be excited about this. And they passed him up, right? And then he gets drafted a little while later, and then you still got some good talent out there at the end of that first round, right? And you're like, hey, maybe you pick up a Kenyon Green or something, and then passed up again and again. And so I started thinking about that, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? I thought personally the offensive line was a bigger need. And then they did it, in my opinion, really smart throughout the rest of the draft, getting three dudes that they can just hand over to Butkus. So to me, this draft was a giant vote of confidence for who they have in an offensive line coach in Luke Butkus. It really was. My thought is, taking a look at these three dudes, they went out and got Luke three athletes who are going to work hard and who are going to try, and they're just trusting Luke to make them into a guard that Linderbaum could have been. And that is a huge vote of confidence in your offensive line coach, because you're saying, we're going to address maybe not our biggest need, but we're going to trust in you to take one of these cats and make them into what should have been a first round draft pick. And to me, that's awesome. I just absolutely love seeing that vote of confidence in your offensive line coach retroactively, now that I think about it a little bit more. And I guess it makes sense, because your offensive coordinator, heck of an offensive line coach himself, and now you got Luke Butkus there. To me, that is the ultimate vote of confidence. And here's a couple of dudes that may or may not be able to hang first round right now, but you're going to make them into quality starters.
Yeah, so I one more question, and I'm just going to hold your feet a little closer to the fire real quick here. If I told you one of these guys made the roster, he is going to be playing offensive guard for us, maybe which one is more pro ready or however you want to answer it, but if I told you one of them made it, who would your bet be that guy was?
Yeah, if I got money on this, the first person to start a game out of this draft class for the offensive line is going to be Sean Ryan, because of the mauler mentality he has, and he can get out in wide zone. He seems to have the easiest fixes to me. You can slow him down to that second level, show him a little bit more. His practice reps are going to be a little bit better, I guess, against the scout guys and some of those second tier guys on defense, as opposed to what he's been seeing in UCLA. So he'll have the ability to tempo up to that second level a little more in the run game. He's a little more polished. He doesn't get dented quite as bad as Tom does in the pass game. I think Sean Ryan is the most pro ready right now. But I think Zak Tom could really surprise people in a year or two, yo.
All right, man. Well, I really, really appreciate you jumping on with me, and I look forward to doing more of these quick little videos. Maybe we can hang out some more and have some more fun doing this, but I appreciate your time, and